Hi, everyone. This is Paula Okonneh, also known as Podcast Paula. And today I had such an interesting conversation with my guest, Carol Ben-Davies. She is the founder and CEO of College Bound Determination. And we talked about so many interesting things that many times are not discussed. For example, she explained that in her line of business or in her business, they focus on children, not just going to college, but not just from high school, but the focus is on the child from middle school to after they graduate from college. So it's the college-bound journey. And there were so many other interesting things that she touched on. So Carol, let's talk a little bit about that, just so that people will know the amazing things that they can learn from listening to our podcast recording.
Absolutely. First of all, I thought it was an amazing conversation. You're such a great interviewer. You asked such great questions. And I was really excited to just share how being a first generation American, how that has impacted my life, how it impacts my work, working with students. I fell in love with the career of higher education, and through my business, College Bound Determination, I really helped students prepare for not only college, but life. I think that's so important. It's often missed. We don't think about how our identity and our sense of self impacts what we think about and what we're able to do. And so helping students as young as middle school think about those things is really, it's really essential if we want them to thrive in life.
I love it. Can you touch a little bit on, why you think that the mindset of student in college is so important?
Well, so a man thinks, right? You really, if you don't believe that you're capable of something, if you have these thoughts that hinder your ability to achieve the goals that you can achieve, it can hold you back. Mm-hmm. And you need to really have spaces where you think about how some of your limiting beliefs might be impacting the ways that you think, feel, and behave. And through my coaching, I'm a certified coach for strengths. I'm a certified team coach. I really work through those things with clients because if you think that you can't, I tell my 5 and 7-year-old, whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. And we started to talk about what that really means as she's working on preparing for her spelling tests. And it's the same thing for college students. If you think that you're not going to be successful, if you have self-doubt, if you have imposter syndrome, those things really can be a barrier to the success that you can achieve. And we all kind of go through that in different stages and phases. And I've experienced that myself personally. So I'm able to really help and empathize with students and help them navigate through those feelings so that they can really, step into their power. These students, many of us, we just are much more powerful than we give ourselves credit for.
So true, so true. And last but not least, because this podcast focuses on immigrant women and also children of immigrant women like yourself, what would you say to students like you and parents of students like you? When I say like you, Carol is a first generation American. What would you say to them?
I think one of the things I missed in growing up is really embracing who I was, fully learning and loving being a first generation American, tapping into the history and how I can use that to strengthen me in times when I didn't feel so strong. I don't know if there are students who may feel growing up in America a bit ashamed of being African. About the foods that we bring and eat and the smells of those, stews that we enjoy, the clothes that we wear. For me, going off to college was a great transformational experience because I got to fully step into that identity as a first generation American, as an African American. And I would encourage students to take full advantage of that exploration when they get off to college. Not just look at college as a place to, study and get A's or B's or whatever the case may be, but how you can use it to really be the best version of yourself. And for parents, just knowing that there are so many different career paths that your child can choose, lawyer, doctor, engineer, are just 3 of the thousands of professions that exist, and helping your child to find their right path, right career path, right major path, that is best aligned with who they are, not what we might think is going to lead them to the most success, because what success looks like for one is different for another. And so being open to that, being helping your child advocate for themselves respectfully, but knowing that that's an essential part of their development that they'll need. So trying to find some balance between being respectful and also tapping into their autonomy.
Wow, so much stuff here. I mean, I encourage anyone who's listening or viewing this video to listen into the recording that I had with Carol. It was an eye-opener, and I like the different perspectives that she put on college-bound students, because, thinking of preparing from middle school through the end of through graduation in college was a different perspective for me. So I encourage you to listen to that podcast. Thank you again, Carol.
Thank you so much, Podcast Paula.
I enjoyed learning more about you. I enjoyed everything that you talked about there. And again, to the listeners, please listen to her talk.
Thank you.
Chatting with the expert. Thanks, Carol.
Thank you.